Anyway, for the tube.
Hey, Tube.
Say what up, tube.
What up, Tube?
What up, tube? All right, and last but certainly not least, for the show. Y'all ready to rock and roll?
I was born ready.
Haha. All right, here we go in 3, 2, and 1.
Welcome to another episode of Business Broooos. What up, ladies and gentlemen? SHIT.
So happy it's Thursday.
And we're ready to have another show with Invictus Advisors. Last time we were here, we spoke about the benefits of having 2 checking accounts. And I wanted to share a quick story with the audience. I took the same strategy that we shared here, shared it with our managers and our partners over at our Austin meeting. And we're going to implement that same strategy that we talked about. So it's a very simple method.
In the business.
In our own business. So it's something simple. It's 2 checking accounts. You're able to see things a little bit clearer. I talked to my management team and they were like, hell yeah, that we should definitely do that.
It makes sense.
It totally makes sense. So we're going to be talking about a whole new strategy today, something that most people are scared of. But you're going to see by the end of today that there's nothing to fear. Budgeting is here. Boom. All right, ladies and gents, before we get started, I just wanted to remind everybody that we are in the insurance business. We have not decided on what we're going to do for donations, so I'm skipping that part. But
all right.
But we are an insurance company, so if you guys ever need help with any of your insurance needs, home, auto, general liability, commercial, workers' comp, whatever it is, please reach out to James at csfirst.com or 619-884-0045. We're here to help. We might even help you add insurance into your business to help increase your bottom line because you're always looking for different income streams, and that's a good one to add, especially if you have a mortgage office or tax office, something like that. Show sponsor for today is Casanova Fish Tacos. They're going to have a secret underground taco thing coming up here tomorrow. If you want to know how to go, where to go, all that information, make sure you reach out to me, Hernan, at csfirst.com. I'll give you a little heads up and tell you where to go. All right, ladies and gents, you guys ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Vidal. I'm
Ready.
scared to create a budget. Budgeting and telling me how I can't spend and limiting what I want to do with my money. It just, look, that's the reason why I'm bald.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. Tell me a little bit about budgeting and how it's actually the thing that relieves stress, not the thing that causes stress.
You know what? Budgeting should not be scary.
Shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be scary at all because actually budgeting, it's going to help you lose stress.
I would like stress to be gone because I'll be honest. There were times in my younger business ventures where bills needed to come up, payroll needs to come up, and I don't always know where it's going to be. I didn't manage funds correctly. Maybe I had a dip in a credit card. That's a huge weight.
It is
coming on your shoulders.
But if you know how much you're going to spend that month, at least the basics, at least the fixed expenses, it's going to be so simple because you know how much you need for that month. That's it.
That's it.
Anything above that, on top of that, that's your profit.
So does this, I want to make sure we kind of collab with kind of the other things we talked about. So when it comes to budgeting, what are the types of things that I'm looking for? And then we're going to kind of lean it into how does it work with the 2 checking accounts. Cool?
Yes. It's very simple. The first thing you need to do is you need to look into your regular monthly expenses. If you're budgeting for your household or budgeting for the business, it's pretty much the same. The only difference is going to be the type of expenses.
Okay.
But in your personal life, your household, and in your business, you know your fixed costs. Whatever it's recurring on a monthly basis.
So things like my rent is a fixed cost. Things like mortgage payments,
cell phone, internet, utilities.
The things that have the same dollar amount month in and month out.
Exactly.
It's a fixed expense.
Even if your electric bill or gas bill, which is the same here, and your utility, your internet, cable, they fluctuate a little bit. Mm-hmm. I personally budget the highest of the average or the average of the previous year.
Okay. So we basically, just so, you know, to make things simple, we take the entire budget, whatever we paid every single month for 2019, we add them all up, divided by 12. Boom, that's your fixed budget amount. Some months are going to be higher, some months are going to be lower, but at least you're allocating that amount every single month.
Exactly. So that's very simple. So that's the first thing. Okay. And then the second thing is your variable expenses.
Variable meaning they change.
They change, or you don't know, but you project
Okay.
You plan for them.
So these are things, just so we can clarify, right? These are things that maybe it's based on production. So if you're a company that sells units of, widgets or whatever, the more widgets you sell for that month, you're going to have a larger expense because there's more production for that thing versus you might have a slower month, you're going to have less of an expense. That's what we're defining as a variable.
Right.
And even just like your household expenses. So like, during the holiday season, everyone's like, oh, I got to buy extra food for families coming in.
Mm-hmm.
I got to buy extra presents. I got to I got to give you charity. That's another one. It's like all those different pieces. Those are all variable expenses.
They change, right? Because they're not consistent from month to month.
Right.
So on some of them, we were able to modify, right? So
Yeah.
technically, those SDG&E bills, those electric bills, whatever, those are our variable expenses. But we did what's called a balanced approach, right? So we take it and average it out. You can kind of do that with some of the other expenses, but when you're talking variable here, just for accounting purposes for a business, we're talking about things that we can't predict what they're going to be.
We have no control over them, pretty much. And remember, a budget, you can always modify. It's not set in stone, okay? It's just the foundation or the basis for your whole quarter, semester, or year. That's it.
And we kind of going back to the whole stress thing. It's, don't stress out if you're over or under budget. Because like one month you may be like, oh my God, I'm so over budget right now. And then the next month you're like, oh man, great. I'm way
doing really
under
good.
budget. Yeah. So like, you really need someone to kind of help you through those highs and lows.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
being able to help manage the emotional roller coaster that goes with that a little bit.
Yeah, when you're over budget, you do feel a little stressed, right? When you're under budget, you do feel a little bit better. But the point here is that every month you're looking at it and you're reflecting on what changed. Like when for my own household, we use the envelope accounting system, right? So I have an envelope for groceries, I have an envelope for gas money, and that way we stick to it. Like if it's in the envelope, we can use it. If it's not in the envelope, we can't use it. But when we first initiated it, I didn't know exactly how much we were going to spend in gas. I didn't know exactly how much we were going to spend in food.
And
now that's a budget, right? But now we've fine-tuned it. So now we've figured out exactly where we're going to be, and now it's better, 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. But when you first start, that's kind of that taking your head out of the sand type thing, right? The reason why you're stressed is because you have your head buried in the sand. You don't actually know what's going on, but that could be that's insane.
Yeah. and don't stress if you don't have the information from previous year. Start on a zero basis. That's it. Start planning for this year. We're at the beginning of the year and say, hey, you know what? I think I spent $300 a month in gas. Well, you can adjust it down the road in 3 months.
Yeah, raise it, lower it, whatever it needs to be.
Yeah. That's simple. Don't stress over it. But it's more stressful if you don't have a budget.
Oh yeah,
100%. If you're bringing $1,000 and you're spending $1,200, well, you're living out of credit cards for those $200. You multiply it by 12. That's a lot of money in interest.
$2,400 a year plus interest, and those are not small interest. Those are, you're looking at 19, 20, 25%.
Because I'm pretty sure you're just making the monthly payment, which is only going to the interest.
Only the finance charge.
It's so interesting because so many of our clients, not our clients, but people that we've talked to, let's put it that way.
Potential clients.
Prior
to working with you.
Right, thank you.
We love our clients.
Yeah. Well, they have no clue. Like we ask them, oh, what's your revenue? I don't know.
I pay my bills.
Yeah. Or I'm able to like make my car payment this month, or, they're really honest to God clueless. And a lot of them come from this fear mentality.
Yes.
They're so scared of it's almost like if you hear something in your car and you hear that pinging, you're like, I don't want to look under the hood because it's going to be like cost me $100,000.
You're worried about the cost to fix this sort of thing, right? You're worried about looking in the mirror and being like, oh my God, I do spend that much money at Starbucks, or I do, you know what I mean? Like you're worried to calling yourself out as to what your habits are.
And that's okay. Sometimes your habits are okay. Like I'll be completely transparent now. We go to Starbucks every day. Like that's every single day. And we go and spend for the two of us. It's like $10.
Yep.
but we're comfortable with that and we're cool with that. And that's it.
It's you've allocated.
Yeah.
Right. You know exactly that's what you're going to do. And that's the beauty of what a budget is. A budget is what you make of it.
Right.
Right. Your lifestyle, your objectives, whatever it is that you want to do. All we're saying is let's put them down on paper and make sure you stick to that you chose. Right. Whatever it is, the guideline that you chose, whatever that dollar, that metric, you're deciding what it is.
It's a blueprint.
It's a blueprint.
It's a blueprint. Just follow your blueprint. You should have in life blueprints for pretty much every aspect in your life.
And you know, we talk really heavily about when you set up a budget, we talked about expenses, fixed and variable and that sort of stuff. But there's another aspect to budgeting that is a huge positive, that you're going to have this huge weight lifted off your shoulders as you start to apply the savings portion of your budget. Right? Because all the one of the main reasons people stress out about money and cash flow issues is because you don't have the cash accessible when you need it. And it's because you've never allocated funds to that. You've never put that money away. It's not part of your budgeted structure to put that money aside to make sure that you have those bills. So, you know, earlier you were talking about having enough money for the month to pay forward. Mm-hmm. Well, if I have never allocated the funds ahead of time, that's the issue that I came across when I was telling you early on, and you know, payroll would come on and I didn't have enough money. I didn't have that nest egg, that little cushion set aside, those reserves to be able to fund those things. And it's because I didn't have that allocated in a budget.
Exactly. And don't think as a budget as a controlling tool, because it's not a controlling tool. It's a guiding tool. It should not control your day to day or your months or it shouldn't control. It's just a guiding. It's just telling you, hey, you know what? If I'm bringing in $1,000 a month, let me budget or let me plan or segregate, let's say separate $800 out of those $1,000. The other $200 there, don't budget for them. Just leave them there. I'm pretty sure you're going to use them. Mm-hmm. And you're going to use more than $1,000 that month because you don't have that. You're not used to planning for that.
Right.
Maybe 6 months down the road, you are going to start leaving those $200 out. Mm-hmm. And then that's where you start saving. That's where you are going to start saving. And in 6 months, you're going to have a month and $200 extra to live on.
Or get out of debt with, or pay taxes with,
or go on a vacation,
or go on a vacation,
or like enjoy time with your family,
or go to Starbucks every day. Whatever it is that you want to do,
take a personal day off. Look, 2 personal days.
The income is the vehicle, right? And so a good analogy for people out there is you're already driving on this super highway of life. Like you're already going, and if you're on the freeway and you ever drive on the freeway, it's late at night. You probably shouldn't be driving. You're getting a little tired. You start getting a little sleepy, and you start driving by braille, right? If you move too much to the left, you start feeling it. You move too much to the right, right? That's what a budget is. It's still keeping you in line. Can you switch lanes? Absolutely, you can.
Life happens.
Yeah, life happens. You're gonna switch lanes. Things are gonna happen, but you're still controlling the vehicle. You still want to stay in the lane that you're choosing to go in. Right. And if you do go a little bit over, that's the braille happening. That's you being able to look at your budget and say, okay, am I spending more because this is a necessity that I need to adjust for? Or am I spending more because, you know, life happened this month and this one thing, you know, deviated what I was doing? But you're still driving your car in that positive direction.
I'm going to give you a story. We had a client. We have a client and that we like a lot. We started working with her, and she called me one day, like after 3 months of working with her, and she says, you know what? I need to change my car. And I've always wanted a Mercedes. And I said, go for it. She said, I can't afford it. I said, yes, you can. She's like, no, I can't. I said, yes, you can. So I pick up the phone. I call a Mercedes dealership that we work with. I made her an appointment. She walked into the dealership. She walked out with a Mercedes that she could afford. Today, she's traveling twice a year. She's currently in Taiwan, traveling on vacation because she can't afford it.
But let's dive into that a little bit. So when she says she can't afford it, she was looking at a budget a little bit differently, right?
She had no budget nor idea to what her revenue or expenses were.
So you're saying that she's flying blind. She's doing what most people do.
Yeah.
And they kind of look at their bank account and they look at their bottom line and they're like, ooh, I don't have any money, and don't really realize where it's going or how it's getting
In her mind, she was broke.
Yep. It's that whole, I think you've talked about it before on the podcast. It's about the scarcity mindset.
Yes.
Yeah.
And about where she's like, I can't afford a Mercedes.
Mm-hmm.
Even though her payment may be exactly what she was paying before.
Already.
But the idea that it's a Mercedes is a fact that, I can't afford it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because I talk about this with my students a lot. I give them the example. I'm like, look, let's assume you guys hit your 18th birthday. I got you a scratcher for your 18th birthday, right? And you scratch it off and boom, you made $100,000. And this is after taxes. Now you have this $100,000 check. And you're 18 years old. So of course the first thing you're thinking of is, I'm going to buy a car. And you're looking at that $80,000 vehicle, right? How do you buy the car? And so I give this exercise in my class usually every year, and I let them come up and talk about different things, right? And it's always one of two things. I pay cash for it or I finance it, right? One of the two. And I'm like, well, if you can increase your financial IQ just a little bit, what if we took that $100,000 and we bought an asset, maybe a house, a rental? And then we turned around and took that income and we financed a vehicle. And now we take the rental income and it pays for the vehicle. And all of a sudden, after 5 years, 7 years, whatever time frame that you finance that vehicle for, that vehicle's paid off and you get a pay raise. Like, is that
But
a
you still
different?
have the $100,000.
And you still have the $100,000 in equity, right? You still have there's a different way of looking at the same type of problem. And it comes down to, no one's ever showed you this other opportunity. No one's ever showed you this other possibility because you weren't willing to look at your numbers in the first place. So since you weren't willing to look at your numbers in the first place, your own budget, then how could you advance from there? If you have no starting point.
You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's multiple options and solutions to just one single.
And you need people. You need people like us. You need people like James. You need people like Hernan that will actually be able to show you different ways of like, hey, what's your family going to do 20 years from now when you're gone?
Yeah.
And what is your business going to do 20 years now from when you're going to? How are we going to help manage your business now so that you're able to buy a Mercedes? You're able to take a vacation to Taiwan. You're able to like go to Hawaii for a week. You're able to go to Walt Disney World for 2 weeks.
Right.
I just threw that in there because we're big.
Yeah, yeah. You're gonna get that popcorn tin for the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
No, well, but there's a lot of people who are gonna go with, this is just not my strength. This is not what I do, right? I'm focusing on building a house or selling properties or selling insurance. This whole doing my taxes and accounting and budgeting, that's not my thing. Right. So what can we tell people? How do they get that help they need so that they can look at a budget and be like, oh, okay, maybe I can afford this Mercedes after all. Oh, that was perfect.
Kind of timed that one perfectly, huh?
Yep.
The time is 17 minutes and 38 seconds. And while I'm letting you do your promo, tell me where your phone charger is.
Oh, open the door right behind you.
Got it. The time is, what did I say, 17 minutes and 36 seconds? We interrupt today's regularly scheduled #1 podcast in San Diego for a purely selfish, completely irreverent, sell-out cash grab word from our sponsor. Hernan, what are we selling today?
We're selling some fish tacos, ladies and gentlemen. Look, Super Bowl's right around the corner. Casanova Fish Tacos has a Super Bowl party box. So if you guys are interested in having that Super Bowl party box, that way you don't have to do hamburgers and hot dogs. Yeah, I know that's good, but fish tacos would be better. Hit them up, CasanovaFishTacos.com. Let them know Business Bros sent you so they can add a little extra stuff into your package. By the way, they are doing the Underground Taco Club. It's very exclusive. Only a few people know. Luckily for you, you know me, and I'm going to hook you up. So Hernan at csfirst.com. Send me an email so you can find out. It's tomorrow, but I know the place. Hit me up or check out CasanovaFishTacos.com.
They are so good.
They are good.
They are really good.
Are you guys
And
want some?
now,
I've had them. Yeah.
Yeah.
whoops. And now, back to that #1 podcast in San Diego, the Business Bros Pod.
Okay, so clients or just people in general, they don't want to deal with that stuff. They have there's somebody who has a business and they're all focused in on what they're doing in their business, don't want to deal with that stuff. How do they reach out to you?
Well, you can call our office. We're down in Mission Valley. So real close. Our phone number is 619-677-6512, or our website is invictus-advisors.com. And you know what we're going to offer just for guests of the podcast today only?
Today only.
Right?
Ooh, today only.
We're going to give you a 20-minute consult with Vidal.
Ooh.
That in itself is like gold.
Yeah.
You know?
Especially, you're doing that, especially in tax season.
Yeah.
That's valuable.
Yeah. So if you visit mycashflowpartner.com, your cashflowpartner.com. Yeah.
Any question you have.
Yeah. You could be like, hey, is my business heading in the right track? Or do I have a tax question? Or like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing in business. Can you help?
Well, I'll tell you what. We'll even throw this. We'll see what you say on this next one. But we're going to be here on Thursday next week, right? Whole new different topic along the same lines. And we'll open it up to Q&A during the show.
That'd be awesome.
So we'll open up Q&A, hop on the Facebook Live, or do us a favor, send an email to james@csfirst.com or hernan@csfirst.com, and we'll have these questions ready because this is an interesting topic, especially right now when tax season is upon us. You're talking about budgeting and getting stuff in line. Your accountant, your tax preparer, your CPA, whoever it is, they're going to start asking you for all these things, right? Hopefully you've been doing your books throughout the year and you don't walk in with a shoebox because, let's face it, that's kind of annoying.
We don't accept shoeboxes.
We don't accept shoeboxes. But if you're getting your stuff already squared away, this is a good place to start. This is where you can start looking at your stuff for the year and at least have an idea. This is what happened last year.
Yeah.
This is how I can start going forward.
And what's the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting
Right?
a different result. All right. But that's the truth. Most people do that on a daily basis, right?
Yeah.
They're only doing what they're accustomed to doing. So, to stick to a budget, to create a budget, what are some strategies that we can give people who are deciding, maybe today, the beginning of the year 2020, I want some clarity, I need to get a handle on my stuff? What's some stuff that they can do to get a grip going forward?
Very simple. You can just do it on a piece of napkin. But most of us have access to the internet. Go and Google, hey, spreadsheet for budgets. And you can just download it, fill it out, and it's going to actually do it just for you. Even the items that you're going to budget for, they're already written there. The most common, those. Okay. With us, we actually have our clients project and budget for 5 years.
Ahead of time?
Ahead of time.
I had this conversation with my students too, and I always talk about how the time frame of your budget is an indicator of your financial intelligence. So if you're my students, for example, right? I'm like, you guys probably are thinking about how am I going to pay for lunch tomorrow or today, right? So the extent of your budget is very low, but so is your financial IQ. You haven't really entered the world.
Right.
You're going to get a job. Now you're going to start thinking, well, do I have enough money to make it to payday next week or next Friday, right? And then you become a little bit more adult and you start thinking in months. And that's usually about the time that people stop. They stop at the month part. But if you can start planning out a quarter or you can start planning out a year, it really, really opens up the doorway to all these different possibilities. You can plan your vacation ahead of time. You know how much you're going to spend. You know when you want to take your vacation. You can end up getting better pricing because you're for example, we're going to take vacations in the ones where we travel, right? Not the staycations in September because we got a break from school. It's also the best time to travel because everybody else is still at work or in school. So, pricing wise is better, but we already know that we've planned it out for the year ahead of time. You're doing it for 5 years with your clients?
It only makes sense because if you're in business for 1 year, then it's an employment. If you plan for 5 years in your business, then you have a little bit of a longer vision than your competition. Everyone lives on a 1 year cycle. If we already started a new year, we're 9 days in. A lot of us have broken our goals.
Yeah.
Are we going to wait 11 months
To start again?
Hells no.
No.
Reset, start tomorrow again, and every day is a new opportunity.
That's the beauty we like to emphasize all the time. And you've heard this saying before, right? The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Right. And that's the same thing with anything else we do in life, whether it's the gym we were talking about earlier. Maybe, you haven't been going for a while. You said you were going to start doing it. You're 9 days in and you haven't done it yet. So go tomorrow. Like start, just do, because that initial action is going to compound itself. You're going to look back next year and be like, I'm so glad I started it. And you're not going to remember that it was 9 days in. It's still the majority of the year that exists.
Yeah. And even if it's December 12 or December 13, just do it. Just do it. Your year does not start on Sunday or Monday or the next month, the first day of the month. No, your year or the period starts the following day or the next second.
When you decide.
Exactly.
When you make that decision.
Exactly.
I feel a comment coming.
No, I was like November 17th. That's when my year started.
Right? And I mean, we can go all technical stuff. You can technically have a fiscal year anytime you want, right? You just report it. So you, if that's the biggest thing for you, then by all means, when it comes to your business and taxes and all that stuff, you can change your fiscal year, but you don't need to. The point here is you have to at some point decide that this is the life that you want going forward, and you're making a change.
And that's
Tony Robbins says,
okay. Go ahead.
where focus goes, energy flows.
That's right.
So just focus.
Yeah.
Focus.
Part of it too is, you have to think about you as an individual, where you're going to be in 5 years.
Yeah.
Am I going to buy a house? Am I going to, because there's a different, we would work with you to, determine a tax strategy for buying a house in 5 years versus, you have to show more income 1 year than you will in the next year to buy the house.
Yes.
But that's all stuff that, or if you want to buy a car in 2 years, or like you're saying, go on vacation. And that's stuff that you have to account for in your business. You're the CEO of your business. You're the owner of your business, and you got to plan not only your personal finances, but your business finances, and make sure they match.
Proactively, not reactively.
Yeah.
But you know what? One thing that we've learned from one of our mentors, Susan Evans, is like, if you didn't do your planning for 2020 or the decade, go ahead and do your planning, but start from your personal planning, and then if you own a business, plan from there.
Yes.
First, plan for you.
Yeah.
For your family, for your friends. If a wedding is coming up, let's say that it's in July, don't plan your business first and say, oh, I might not be able to go to a wedding. Hell's that. Plan your business around that week or that month for that wedding.
Yes.
First you, then your business.
Because you're going to regret the things you did not do.
Exactly.
When you do not show up to that wedding and it was the most epic event, or Tia got drunk and fell and you didn't see it or whatever.
Or Casanova Fish Tacos gave tachos.
Exactly.
Like that little plug there?
Bro, that was perfect. You're going to regret not going, right? And that's the whole thing is and then you become angry at your business, right? You become like, now it's not something fun anymore. No. It's taking away from life, not adding to it.
And not only you become hungry, your family becomes hungry, and they resent you.
Yes.
Because if you cannot leave your business, it's an employment. It's not a business.
It's actually a job.
It's a job.
Yeah.
If you cannot leave that business without generating revenue while you're not there, it's a job.
It's so funny because there's so many, no offense, James, but like insurance, people that sell insurance, real estate agents, or like, cosmetologists or nail people are like, oh yeah, I'm a business owner. No. Like, no, you're not.
Because if you take a vacation, so does your paycheck.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you can build a business in those industries.
Yes.
It is 100% possible to do that. You just have to be able to structure it correctly. You have to be able to come in with the mindset of, this is what I'm building, with planning around your life first, and then building a business around that.
And then budgeting around those two pieces.
Yes.
It's like everything has to align. And everyone, like the new hot word right now is strategy. Everyone's like, it's a strategy this, a strategy that, strategy this. But in some ways, you have to like think about this stuff. It's not just stuff that you could like, oh, I'll just write it on a cocktail napkin. It's actually funny.
Could.
Yeah,
you could, but
yeah, we actually were in Barnes and Noble. We were talking about. We saw a book that said, what was it? Something about cocktail napkins, like a business plan on a cocktail napkin or something like that. And I was like, really?
Well, but it's true though. Like I remember, growing up, we didn't have a lot of money. All I know is that we didn't have a lot of money, right? But my dad always had a budget, and it was funny because my mom always took us to church like we went to church a lot as kids, right? and my dad went because my mom said, it's time to go. So, but my dad wasn't a huge fanatic. He wasn't paying attention as much as my mom always does, right? And so I would look over, and he always had his pad of paper with him. And sometimes he's writing notes, but oftentimes it was our budget, right? And it was going through what are the income, what are the expenses. And he was always very open with like, look, I mean, we have nothing here. Here it is. Let me show you. But from an early age, it was like you're defining where things are going to go, right? Yeah. And just for shits and giggles here, my dad wasn't the best budgeter because his biggest expense was always mom. If mom needed something, he could never tell mom no, right? And so eventually we got to the point where we switched. Once we moved out and I started learning a bunch of different things, kind of interrupting their lifestyle a little bit, I was like, you know what, Dad, what you need to do is give mom the budget and let mom see what's available, what's not there. And when they did that, all of a sudden, like they started to develop a savings account and they started to pay off, debts. It's because, my mom was able to see, not that she was, like a big spender, because my mom's not a big spender, but she had her head in the sand. She didn't exactly know what was going on. And so because she didn't know what was going on, they're always going in and out of debts and stuff like that. But as soon as you become aware, as soon as you see what's there, you can take that same income and shift it into something that's beneficial.
It is very interesting because there's actually, in marketing, there's actually a syndrome called the Neiman Marcus syndrome.
Neiman Marcus? Like
yes.
the
store.
Research?
The
store, yeah.
Anyone that knows the store would just walk by and say, hey, this is a very expensive store. Mm-hmm. I'm not going in. Or Nordstrom's.
Same type of thing.
Same type. It's the least expensive than Neiman. But when you walk into the store, they have actually the same things as they have at Nordstrom's or Macy's. But we're not afraid of walking into Macy's. But we're afraid of walking into Neiman. When they have their last call sale, they're over 70, 85% discount, and they're sometimes least expensive than JCPenney or Sears or any of those stores. But just the brand, knowing that it's a luxury brand, I cannot afford it.
It's intimidating.
It's intimidating.
Yes.
So if I budget and I say, you know what, I'm going to walk into Neiman Marcus and I'm going to buy a $500 shirt, I budgeted for, but I might wait until the last call and I might get it for $70.
You never know.
You never know.
But at least you've allocated the funds to be able to do that.
Exactly.
I mean, how I don't know about you guys, but I actually like buying stuff. Like, I don't buy very many things, but like gadget stuff, like this, for example. This is one of those things where, the wife was like, "What did you buy?" You know what I mean? I like the whole purchase. I just replaced our routing system. We use the Google Home, and it comes in a nice fancy Google box. You bought Google Home?
No, I bought new. Well, we had Google Home, but I just bought a new router.
Oh, okay,
so
yeah.
I was like, which router could I buy?
Yeah.
Like,
Amazon arrives to our house once or twice a day. Every 365 days a year. So it's bad. It's bad.
But again, it's allocated, right?
Don't drink in Prime.
Don't drink in Prime. That's 100%
it's not
true.
even drinking.
Just priming.
Just priming.
But yeah, and again, it just comes down to, if you have no clue what's going on, of course that's going to be stressful. It's like walking in a room with the lights off. You just, even if it's your room, you feel uncomfortable, like there's something watching you. It's just the fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
And if you put yourself in a position where you might not like the results at first, but now you can change it, right? Now you can modify, you can adapt, you can allocate in certain ways, but
it's the same thing with weight loss.
100%.
It's like, you have to come out and say, yeah, I'm fat, and say, okay, now this is it. And now I'm moving forward. And they're like, yeah, I don't have any money. This is it. So now let's change it.
But let's change it, right? And that's
change it little by little. Don't change it like drastically, like from 0 to 1,000. Don't. Little by little, baby steps.
Baby steps.
Steps.
And I talk about this with my students all the time too, and I try to tell them the difference between being broke and poor, right?
Yeah.
Broke is temporary, poor is eternal. Poor is a mindset. Poor people don't have a budget because they don't look at their numbers. They just go from check to check and they assume everything's going to get paid and that's it and I'm done. They never know how much is actually going in the direction they don't want it to go or going in the direction they do want to go. Poor is eternal. broke is temporary. There are times where life is going to happen. It could be a medical thing. It could be, a car accident. It could be a death in family. Stuff happens. There's going to be a time where you can be broke.
But plan.
But it's a starting point.
Yeah.
But it's a moment in time. You can change that.
But the mentality of being poor, it's so common. I heard someone a couple of days ago is like, oh no, I'm going to wait until that movie is on demand because movies are so expensive. What? Movies are so expensive. You can buy an AMC A Plus for $24 a month.
Mm-hmm.
$24 a month. And you can go 3 times a week.
Man, we got to start
I was
with that
loving
one.
that.
Yeah, so we like going to movies all the time. I mean, movies are a big thing for us. We're movie buffs. We quote movie lines all the time. Mm-hmm. And James had got the AMC thing that you're
it's
talking
amazing.
about. Oh, he loves it, right?
Yeah.
So he would take me to Dolby and stuff. He would take me, and he's like, "Are you gonna get an AMC card?" I'm like, "I don't know, man, because everything I do is times 4." Right, because I got 4 kids, and so for me to pay $100 a month to go to movies, but I don't take them as much, like it wasn't worth it. But I remember sitting in the Dolby theater, and I looked over him after we watched the movie, and I was like, "This should be the bare minimum when I go watch a movie. Like this is where we start. Anything above this, we should be able to go. But why are we settling for everything else?
Raising your standard.
Raising your standard.
Right.
You set your own bar in life. Like you bargain life for a penny, right, him?
Life will pay no more.
Life will pay no more. Like whatever you ask of life, that's what life's going to give you.
That's it.
Yeah.
But you're setting your own bar.
Hells yeah.
It's just like our client, where she's like, I can't afford a Mercedes.
Yes, you can.
Well, in her mind, she can't afford a Mercedes, so she never will afford a Mercedes.
It's not I can, it's how can I.
Right, yeah.
And
Now I'm going to put her on a Maserati.
She's gonna love that. Woo! All right, James, on the calendar, what we got next week that we're gonna be talking about?
Next week, we are going to be talking about
A boot.
Shark Tank.
Shark Tank.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
All right, so give me a little teaser on what's gonna be
That's
next
actually
week.
really interesting. And send us questions because I am the Shark CFO. That's my nickname. So I'm going to help you position yourself to go and pitch your idea or your plan to investors. Friends, family, and fools first.
Friends, family, and fools. I like that.
The three Fs, and then to angel investors, funds, whatever. But you need to be prepared.
Absolutely.
You need to be prepared. I have had investor decks come into my email, come to the office, and I'm like, dude, you're not going to be profitable in 6 months. That's bullshit. Really?
Yeah, let's look at what you're asking here.
Really?
What's
Really?
achievable?
Yeah. Have you sold anything right now? No. Are you in plans? Yes. So if you are profitable in 6 months, why are you asking for money? Why are you asking me for money?
Or why haven't you invested into your own business?
And,
Yes.
and that's that's what we're going to be talking about next week. Like one of the biggest things, and I do show Shark Tank in my classroom, by the way, because I love the idea of understanding, what is evaluation? What are you actually asking for? When you show up to Shark Tank, you're asking for money, and that's all they know is they're asking for money. What are you giving up? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What happens at that point when you actually get a shark?
Some of those deals, I'm like,
Oh my gosh,
holy
right?
crap, I would never
And let's be
agree to
honest,
that.
let's be honest, the calculation of the numbers, I'm asking for, $100,000 for 15% of my company. There is some math that's involved there, but hopefully when we talk next week, we're going to make this as simple as possible.
Yes.
We're going to prepare your
Yeah.
business to be sold or be purchased.
Just
Put
remember,
your company in a
that's a
position.
show, right? So
Oh, yeah,
there have to
absolutely.
be some drama. It's
What,
reality.
you mean shows have drama?
Yeah, right?
Aren't they? Aren't they real?
Mr. Wonderful.
Yes. Yeah. So, but the thing is that in reality, it actually happens.
Mm-hmm.
People are so naive that they have their projections, and be real, be realistic. Go out there, do your due diligence, do your work before you launch your product, your company, and you start seeking money.
Yeah, especially
you're-
because
yes.
we're going to cut into that, but especially because if you do go that route and you try to do something like that, doesn't mean that you're going to get what you're looking for because it's not positioned correctly.
And don't go to the banks because banks are not going to lend you money.
Oh, I'm going to cut you off because I don't want to talk about shark stuff till next week.
And who knows? There may be people on the podcast, or there may be people in this room that maybe want to invest in your company.
Exactly.
So, like,
Hey.
you know,
you never know.
We never know.
You never
Maybe
know.
we can put in
Depends on-
$10,000 on the table.
Depends
Yeah.
on the opportunity that shows up,
That's
right?
right.
Whatever opportunity presents itself. All right, ladies and gents. Hey, thanks again for joining us on this SHIT. So happy it's Thursday. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying this Invictus Advisors saga 5-episode series of January. Next week, we're going to be talking about Shark Tank CFOs. We're going to learn a little bit more about what an actual CFO does for your company, why it's supposed to be put in place if you don't have one, why you need one, and then put yourself in a position to scale and grow tremendously. So we look forward to that, guys. Thanks again for another one.
Thank you so much.
Jeffrey, have you watched
What's
Demolition Man?
the what?
Demolition Man?
No.
Oh, we
James.
finished The Mandalorian.
That's
Oh,
the
yeah.
Demolition Man. It's a little weird because you're far away, so I couldn't give you the high five. So
Okay,
it's one of
there
those. Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
All right,
The Demolition
see? Told
Man.
you, movie buffs. It's just a weird thing. All right, ladies and gents, that's all we got for you guys today. Thanks for joining us. Peace.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
And we're out.
All right. Thanks, Facebook. We love you.